Special hand loads, testing my special hand loads, as in 38 special and 44 special. So I'm going to use my 4-inch barrel Smith & Wesson revolvers, my 686 and 357 Magnum, and my Model 69 and 44 Magnum. If you didn't know, 357 Magnum also shoots 38 special, and 44 Magnum revolvers also shoot 44 special. So I loaded up some different loads here with some tight group powder. That's been my go-to powder for 10 years. I've used it with a lot of cartridges, and I really like the way it works. So we're using Winchester small pistol and large pistol primers respectively for the 38 special and the 44 special. And our 38 special is actually a +P loading. So this right here is actually my go-to load that I've been loading for a lot of years. And what that is a 125 grain XTP over 5 grains of tight group powder. That's supposed to be 1.455 overall length. I actually load it to 1.440 just so I get a little bit better roll crimp into that cantilever. And for a 44 special, these are 180 grain XTPs, so we have near identical sectional density to that 125 grain. And what I got going on there is I tried to scale this up. There is no load data for that particular bullet with this powder, but a 200 grain nozzler jacket of hollow point uses 5.4 grains of tight group, only 13,100 cup pressure. And if we're looking at 44 Magnum, you're looking at 10.3 to 11.5 grains of that powder. So what I went with in this 180 grain is 6 grains of tight group powder. So that should push us pretty much right to the top of where our pressure limits are for 44 special, but I definitely would recommend not loading this and then using that in a Charter Arms Bulldog. But what I got going on there, 6 grains of powder and 1.470 is my overall length, just so I could get a nice case mouth into that cantilever, get a nice crimp on that. So, you know, the reason why I load stuff like this, especially with the 44 special, is it's very difficult to get very good defensive loads with a jacket of hollow point with 44 special. Like, I've tested the Federal Punch 180 grain jacket of hollow point. That gave me just 759 feet per second. And then PMC Bronze is the other 180 grain jacket of hollow point I know of, and I tested that, got only 740 feet per second. So generally 750 feet per second with a 180 grain jacket of hollow point is your typical velocity. I'm hoping to get a little bit better than that with our 44 special. So we're going to test these rounds. We're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. Then I'm going to do my 10% clear ballistic test. So I'm going to go into plain clear ballistics like I normally do, with no denim or anything like that in the way to clog a hollow point. That'll be our best potential shot. We'll see how they do. And then I'm going to do more of our real world simulation. We'll have 4 layers of denim on this first 3-inch piece that represents our pectoral muscle. After that, we'll have a 1/4-inch medium density fiberboard right here to represent ribs or sternum. That'll be more of our real world simulation. And then I am going to shoot at the steel target to see how accurate these hand loads are for me. So let's get started with this test. All right, I'm about 5 yards from the target. So first up, we have these 38 special hand loads. I'm really surprised I really haven't tested these in ballistics gel yet. This has been my go-to load for a long time. So 5 grains of tight group. Let's see what we get in our 38+P here. 1013, 1026, 993, 1006, 1023, 1011. All right, not too bad overall. That's about what I was expecting. I was thinking, hopefully I get about 1,000 feet per second. Now with this, I have absolutely no idea what to expect with this. 180 grain XTP, 6 grains of tight grip, so it is just kind of a scaled up version of that 38 special. I'm hoping to get over 750 feet per second, which is kind of the industry standard for a load like this. So 44 special, let's see what this does. 793, 809, 805, 802, 823. So a little bit more punch than our Federal Punch 44 special. Case ejection is really good with these particular loads. So yeah, I would say not too bad overall. I was hoping for a little more velocity, but there is just a slight increase over typical factory ammo. So let's hit our ballistics gel block, see how these compare. All right, our best potential shot in the plain clear ballistics, no denim or anything like that to clog a hollow point. Let's see what we get with our 38+P. All right, hit that with our 44 Special. Let's go take a look. All right, so I'm kind of surprised in some regard. I was thinking I was probably going to get a pass through into that second block for sure with our 44. The expansion on that 44 isn't particularly good, yet at the same time our damage is pretty good. So that's why I always say that a non-expanding hollow point does tend to perform a little bit better than a full metal jacket. You know, there's something about that pressure going in that hollow cavity. If it doesn't expand the hollow point out, it's like it still pushes that pressure forward in some way and causes more damage. But definitely looking at this, there's a little more damage with our 44 Special. Our 38 Special had some mediocre expansion. That's kind of how these XTPs perform, really. We don't usually get really good expansion, but we did get some. First 3 inches here, 38 in the bottom, 44 on top. Just a little more going on there with our 44 Special. So what we got with our 38 Special is a little bit of expansion, and we have a penetration of about 17 3/4 inches of penetration. Our 44 Special, a little bit more damage going on there, and our path goes right to 19 inches of penetration, but not as impressive of looking expansion. So all that being said, not too bad performance overall. So let's put on our denim, put on our MDF, see how they compare more of our real world simulation. All right, our real world simulation, 4 layers of heavy denim, 3 inches of clear ballistics, 1/4 inch MDF, medium density fiberboard to represent ribs or sternum. Let's see how our 38+P does. Let me set that back up. We'll hit it with the 44 Special now. All right, real world simulation, 44 Special. Let's see what this does. Let's go take a look. All right, so I was hoping for a little bit better performance than what I got going on here. So we just were not fast enough to get expansion in our hollow points. 38 Special, 44 Special. That being said, the over penetration isn't that significant, and we have pretty good damage overall with both of these, but it's from tumbling because both of these bullets are backwards. So with our 44 Special, the tumbling happened right here at about 6.5 inches. Bunch of tumbling right there. And then it looks like it probably straightened back out or went backwards at this point. It went pretty deep. And our 38 Special, right about here, 12-inch mark, started tumbling. So with our 38 Special, we have a penetration of, we're right there at about 21 inches. Our 44 Special, the path went to about just shy 22 inches. So overall, you know, I would say they are kind of, the 44 is kind of a scaled up version because it's doing basically the same thing. So, you know, not great performance. Obviously our 38 had a little bit less recoil, but I would say our 44 Special is doing a little bit better for the amount of damage it's doing in there. So if I had to pick one of these, I would say, I think, you know, it's hard to say, you know, the trade-off between 1 extra round in these L-frame revolvers with 6 with our 38 versus 5 with our 44 is really hard to tell. But let me pull these out of the block. We'll take a close-up look at them. Then I'll shoot our steel and see what kind of practical accuracy I can get with these. All right, so here's our bullets going through plain gel. Here's our 38 Special. Really good performance overall for what it is. 6 different petals expanded out. 38 Special did quite well through our plain gel. So that's not a bad velocity to push that 38 Special at. Now when we look at our 44 Special, there's definitely a lot to be desired there. We have a little bit of expansion starting to happen, but not particularly good expansion. So a lot to be desired with that, but it did okay as far as our testing did. You know, it did quite a good amount of damage. You can see that right there. That's one of the 44 special trots. Now going through our denim and medium density fiberboard, they both performed the same, where we did not get expansion. So here's our 38 special, clogged with denim. Looks like one side tried to start to expand out, but just couldn't quite expand out. And our 44 special, pretty much the same thing. Just couldn't quite expand out. So looking at these, you would say, you know, our terminal performance, you might say it's better with our 38, but you know, that lesser expanded 44 is probably very close to that expanded 38 size. But overall, looking at this here, I would say our 38, I guess, did just a tad better in performing the way it's really supposed to perform. But at the same time, you know, the 44's got kind of like that 45 ACP effect, where they all fall to hardball. Do you really need much expansion? So I guess that's a topic for another day, but here's a close-up look at all these bullets. All right, 12 yards from the target, so I'm going to get a sight picture, line these sights up before I start shooting, and see if one's more accurate than the other when it comes to rapid fire. So I just want to see how these things will do for me. So our 38+P, let's see what this does. Very manageable recoil, very manageable. 44 special. You know, there is just a scaled up punch with this, but it's very insignificant. It's just a slightly more muzzle rise and slightly more felt recoil, but it's kind of like comparing, I don't know, a 9mm to a 9mm+P. There's not a whole lot more going on there with the 44 special. So both of these are very shootable. So let me back it up, see how these things continue to shoot for me. All right, so before I paint that target up and move back further, I want to fire from 25 yards. See how these things shoot for me. All right, 44 special. Let's see what this does. All right, those shoot pretty good for me too. Let me back it up and see how these things continue to shoot. All right, 75 yards from the target. Let's see how these things will shoot for me. So here's our 38+P. All right, they may be dropping just a little bit low, because I missed a couple shots and I aimed a little bit higher, and I made those last two. Keep going here. All right, not too bad overall for its accuracy. Our 44 special, I guess in theory this should do a little bit better at distance, because you retain a little more momentum over distance. But I'm gonna aim center mass with our 44s, see how these do. All right, I'm a little bit off with those. Could just be me. Probably is. Try to slow it down a little bit, see if I can get a little more accuracy on target. So I think what's going on there is these may actually be shooting just a little bit high, actually, just from jumping up under recoil. That's a phenomenon that happens with revolvers specifically. You get a bullet moving slow enough and you get a little muzzle recoil before that bullet leaves the muzzle. Let me try some more here. Let me try single action. It could just be me here. All right, so I think that was just me. I think the trigger's a little bit different on this. So let me back up to 100 just for fun and see if I make any hits. All right, 100 yards from the target. I'll try double action, see if I can make any hits with our 38+P. Aim just a little bit high. Basically, I'm going to aim for a headshot, see if I make any hits. All right, very, very difficult. At that distance, you know, the target is just a little bit smaller than my sight itself. So it is not easy to make those shots. I'll try some single action. See if that does anything for me. All right, those things shoot pretty good. That time I aimed a little bit lower than what I aimed last time, so I think there might be a little bit of that muzzle rise issue going on with these as well, where you get a little bit of muzzle rise before that bolt leaves the muzzle. So I'll keep trying here. All right. All right, not as good on those ones. Now, a 44 Special, I don't know what to expect with this. So I'm just getting aim center mass. I'll try a single action shot center mass. And if I miss, I'll try to see where it lands. All right, so I'm aiming kind of low, kind of center mass low. Saving these brass here. I haven't been saving the 38 brass because I have probably, I don't know, 20,000 of those saved throughout the years. 44 Special, I probably only got 100 of these. You know, because buying 44 Special ammo in 50 round boxes or bulk ammo, it's just not as common as what it is with 38 Special. So I don't have a lot of that brass, but keep going with our 44. Generally, I'm not able to hit from this distance with handguns all that well. So, you know, I will say that I think that the tight group powder is producing tighter groups than factory ammo, to be honest. Even with this weird charge, I don't even, you know, just a random charge I made, seems to be pretty decent. Try a couple double action. I think I'm getting old. Can't hit so well on double action like I used to. Keep going, single action. hoping to get that last one. So that was a lot of fun testing these different special loads here. And you know, one thing about this, you know, special ammo, 44 special and 38 special is, you know, there's not a lot of support for it anymore as far as loading data and good ammo. 38 special is a little bit more. You get, you know, there's a lot more decent loads in 38 special than what there are 44 special. Like 44 special is kind of looked at nowadays in the way like 45 Colt is, where it's like it's mostly lead cowboy type ammo, and you don't have a whole lot of jacket or hollow point defensive ammo unless you go to like Buffalo Bore or stuff like that. So it's challenging to find a good middle of the road 44 special load. Either they're super slow, like 700, 750 feet per second, even with a 180 grain bullet, or they're Buffalo Bore where they're like almost magnums. You know, what I'm really looking for is maybe 100 feet per second more than what I got today. I think that would make a really nice balanced load. But even at the velocity, what we're working with today with our 44 special, I think that's a decent load overall because, you know, it remained as shootable as the 38 special as far as recoil goes. But we did a little more damage in our terminal ballistic test than what we got with the 38 special. So overall, even though we didn't get fantastic expansion with these bullets, I think this load with a little bit better bullet probably would expand really well and do pretty well. So, you know, our 38+P, our 44 special here, I can't say one did better than the other. It just looks like the way I loaded them did scale that up just enough that we have basically the same thing going on, but a little bit more with that 44 special. So both of these came out pretty fantastically in my opinion for how they do overall. You know, I'd like maybe a little more velocity with both of them, but both of them did pretty well. I'm not complaining here with anything I'm seeing with this. So decent overall. So that's what you get today. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.